Welcome to this OCR Cambridge Technicals Level 3 in Information Technology video. This is Unit 6 Application Design, and this is the Criteria Distinction 2. Implement improvements based on the analysed client or user feedback. So there's several sections to this criteria. First of all, you have to design a questionnaire in order to collect feedback from your customer or client. The second part is you need to actually go and physically collect the data, the feedback, and analyze it. And then the third part is based on that feedback, you then make changes to the app. So a really simple example of that would be potentially you ask in a questionnaire, you ask of the customer, how could the app be improved? And 73% of the customers or potential customers say, in order to improve the app, there should be more questions. So what you would then do is, in order to implement this, you would then add maybe 5, 6, 7 more questions to the app. And that would show that you had implemented improvements based on the client feedback. Now, the areas that you need to cover, or the suggested areas for feedback, are in the syllabus. So let's take a look at that. So this is page 6 of the syllabus, and it gives you an overview of some areas that could be tested, or could let me say that again. It gives you some areas that you could collect feedback from the customer, such as, does the app meet the core needs? How effective is it? Is it easy to use? Does it work? Is it readable? Does it display the correct information? Is it easy to navigate through it? Is it easy to learn how to use the application? And so on. So you can write questions around these and obviously include your own. This isn't an evaluation though, so what you're not trying to gather information from the customer about is how good or bad the app is, or the features are good or bad. They've kind of done that in D1. What we're looking here is for changes to the app to actually improve the functionality or the usability or the effectiveness of the of your program, of your application. So let's have a look at the students' work. As I said, it's broken down into 3 parts. The first part then we're going to look at is the questionnaire. So what you want to do is create a questionnaire which you can then give to the customer. So here's some example questions. On a scale of 1 to 5, how easy was it to navigate the app? And that ties in with this bit, navigatability. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 5, how easy overall was it to use the app? Did the app help you learn Italian? Obviously they did learn Italian learning app, and so on. So they've got 9 questions. They did it on Google Forms, so they got electronic copies rather than paper ones. And I think they asked about 10 potential customers in order to gather their feedback. Then what they did, this is part 2, they looked at the responses. So we've got 80% think it's easy to navigate the app. That's fairly high tolerance, fairly high confidence. Did the app help you learn Italian? Yes. 80% said no. So potentially there's an issue there, and they can then make edits to the app in order to address that and hopefully lower that number. Did you like the design of the app? 60% said no. So again, something needs to change. So they've got all these responses. And then the last thing to do is to create a Word document. And in that, you're going to include the implementation, the changes you're going to make, and justify the changes, and then actually make them to your program. So if we have a look at that in terms of a candidate's response. So in this document, the candidate has actually summarized the changes. So based on the user feedback, I decided to make the following changes to the app. I'm going to add 5 more questions. I'm going to add a play button to start the game. I'm going to add the Italian flag. I'm going to change the question text to bold. I'm going to change the height of the app. And those changes are all based on the customer feedback here. What would you change about the app? Add more questions. Okay, more questions, more questions. So they've got the feedback, and now they've summarized what they're going to do. And now what they do is actually break down the implementation and the changes. So two things to do here. One is obviously keep track of the changes you make, and then number two, actually make the physical change to your program code. So the first part was adding 5 more questions. They've justified why they're adding 5 more questions, because this was the feedback from the customers. And then they've included the code snippet from the change in the app, showing now that they've got more questions. Add a play button to start the game. So this was the do you like the design of the app? 60% said no, they didn't. So based on the first response below, 60% of the users are unhappy with the current design of the app. Most likely, explain the reasoning behind this was because there was no start button. So they're going to implement a start button in the app. And here's the code that they've added to the program. So they're actually physically changing the code in the app to make a new version of it, an improved version. And here's the start button. And obviously they've added in the Italian flag as well. So now what we have is an introduction page before it goes into the questions. Let's show you one more. Feedback was change the question to bold. So change the question to bold so it stands out. Here's the code they used to do that. Changing the height as well, and so on. So, number of things they need to do. Let's quickly recap them. So first thing is create a questionnaire to gather feedback from the client or the customer and base it on these areas here. Second thing is look at the customer feedback, summarize it all, pull out what the issues are. So what are the key issues? What are the key feedback and changes that the customers would like to see? And then a new Word document, the third document, make a list of the changes you're going to make, work through each of the changes, describe what the change is, add the evidence from the feedback, a graph or result. So you can see in this one they put result in, and then screenshot the change to the program code that you've made in order to address the issue or solve the issue that the customer had said. And that's the implementing part. This is the implementing here. You're implementing the changes based on the feedback that the client has given you. Okay, so that's D2. It's quite a tricky one, that, but it's obviously a D2, and the D1, if you've seen that one previously, wasn't particularly challenging. And if you do if the questionnaire is effective and you collect the feedback from the customers and the users and they're honest with you, then it should be quite easy to discern what the changes are or what improvements you need to make. Okay, thanks very much for your time. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and I can respond and give you any further guidance that you might want. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Many thanks for watching.